how to earn interest using bonds. So you might not know what bonds are, but by the end of this video, you will know how to lend money to governments and how to lend money to companies. That way you earn interest instead of you paying interest. And you guys know the drill. To do that, I'm going to share my computer screen with you. So let's go.
So the first thing that we have to answer is, how do bonds actually work? Bonds work in quite a simple way. You have the issuer this side, which is the borrower, so the one who borrows money from you, and then you have you as the investor this side. What happens is the issuer issues a bond contract, and that contract would have a certain value. Let's say in this example, 1,000 rands. Then you buy this contract, and by in effect buying this contract, you've lent them money. So that issuer would be either a government or a corporation. And then what they would agreed upon is that they'd pay you back the money at a certain time. And during that period of them having your money, they would then pay you an interest. And so that's how you'd earn interest from the bond. And then at some point you'd get back your money. So how do you actually buy bonds when you're an individual investor? Because most of the time it's institutions, large companies that are buying bonds. Well, as an individual investor, there's a way for you to access the exact same bonds that institutions also get to buy. And that is to use an ETF, an exchange traded fund. And what is an ETF? Well, an ETF is just really a fund that holds different assets inside it. So picture it as a basket that has a whole lot of bonds inside it. And then you buy the basket, and in effect, by buying the basket, you've bought the bonds that are in the basket. So let's look at this from a practical standpoint. So let's say you are on EasyEquities. So you've logged into your account. So how would you find bonds? Very simple. You click invest now. And then what would happen is you'd end up on the screen here, and then you click here on ETFs, and then you can just do a search of bonds. So just type in bond, and then there you are. You've got a list of ETFs that have different bonds inside them. And obviously, based on the name of the ETF, that will tell you what sort of bonds are inside them. So let's say we click on this One Invest ETF, and we want to invest in that, and we want to find out what's inside the ETF. We can Google the name One Invest SA Bond ETF, and then add the word fact sheet, and then we get to this document here that will tell us exactly what is in this particular ETF, and also tell us about the ETF. So to see what's in the ETF, I'll go look for holdings. And yeah, here it is here, holdings. These are the list of bonds that are in the ETF, the dates that they pay back the money, and the interest rates that they pay out. What's nice about ETFs is that they'll collect the interest and then distribute the interest to you as an investor. And then on your EasyEquities account, you get a notification here that will tell you that you've been paid a dividend by a particular ETF or whatever investment it is that you've actually made. And then what you can do is withdraw your money. That's how simple it is. You can buy the ETF. So let's quickly buy this one here. We'll just invest 10 rands, once off investment, and then we'll click here, buy now. So we are buying this SA bond ETF, and voila, we've bought the bond. And by buying this ETF, we've bought these bonds here from the South African government. Basically, we've lent money to the South African government. So that's how easy it is. And it works the same way across all the different account types on EasyEquities. So if you go to the US dollar account, you do the exact same thing. You'd go to invest now. And then what you will do is you'll choose ETF, and then you'll run a search and say bonds, and then you'll be able to see which bonds are available here based on the ETFs that hold the various bonds that are here. And so that's how you'd find. So emerging market bond, that's a bond, that's an ETF that has emerging market bonds inside it. Core 10-year US bond, that's an ETF that has 10-year bonds from the USA. You can do the exact same thing with the Australian account as well. In fact, an ETF that I like is the Beta Shares Australian Investment Grade Corporate Bond ETF. Basically, you'd be lending money to companies if you buy this particular ETF. And I can find out what's inside it by just scrolling and then looking for allocation or exposure or holdings. I can see the credit ratings of the various assets that are inside here. Then I can see the different Australian companies that have lent money by issuing bonds, and this ETF holds those particular bonds. So if I buy this ETF, I'm lending money to these companies. And the way I would do that is I'd come here to the Australian accounts and then click on ETF, and then run a search on bond. And then here it is, Australian investment grade corporate bond ETF, the exact same one that we are looking at here on our screen. So that's how that works. Basically, you can buy the bonds on ETF, but to find on using ETFs on EasyEquities, but to find out what's inside them, you have to Google the name of the bond and then add the word fact sheet, or MDD, which stands for minimum disclosure document. Of course, there's a lot more research that's involved. So how do you actually research bonds? There's various ways that you can do so online using various tools and techniques. And if you want to know about those tools and techniques and those methods of how to research bonds, very, very simple. You can join my investing mentorship program. Of course, I was going to plug it in right here, where I will teach you exactly how to do proper research, how to make predictions about the future in regards to the assets, how to find assets that pay high interest or high dividends, or the ones that will actually grow. That way you make money. We can see there's a lot of bonds that pay some very good interest rates around the world. So South Africa 9.9%, Argentina 49%, Brazil 13%, Nigeria 14%, Egypt 21%. If you want to know exactly how to find these type of bonds, then join the investing mentorship program, and you will enjoy yourself and learn a lot about investing and how to do things properly. Until then, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. We will see you next week.